can turn your videos on if you like, if you're quiet and reasonably still, but you don't have to. The first part of the meeting is, of course, gathering, reconnecting, recollecting, settling, a sense of welcoming, a sense of remembering, reconnecting, recollecting, a sense of welcoming, a sense of accepting, a sense of not carrying burdens from the past, not picking up burdens for the future, just knowing and gathering the energy in this moment. Sense of being here. Settling and sorting out the sitting, the posture, the weight of the body, bits of technology, the cat, whatever it is, in this settling, in this breath, in this welcoming. This welcoming. This reconnecting and recollecting. This energy of life. Giving the time and the space. This offering. Offering of attention, offering of energy, receiving of experience in this breath. Giving. This giving. In this experience, it's like this. This life, this breath. this welcoming, in this stillness and sensitivity. This knowing, and well-wishing, settling, the energy in this moment is still. The energy of this moment is gathered, collected. Belly rising on the in-breath, falling on the out-breath. Soft release of the past, and not picking up of the future. The energy of this present knowing. This present stillness and sensitivity. All the time, all the space. All the moment. And permission, the openness, an interest, aliveness, or sensitivity, unshaken as the energy is gathered, collected. A refuge in this knowing, a preciousness and appreciation, a sensitivity, the knowing of a change of mode, suggestion of listening and reflecting, hearing, it's not really instruction or teaching. There's a pointing out or a suggestion, but there's no examination, there's um, no exam at the end of it. So how it's received is how it's received, not a test. Uh, it's the use of ideas and the how do these how are these sounds received, and what's the effect, and how does one then interpret, and what energies are stirred, and how are they stirred? Uh, for we humans, we really make a lot and create a lot and act a lot. That's what we, more than most beings, we intend and act on those intentions. And the actions are magnified, or the intentions are magnified by the tools we use, the physical tools are quite obvious. The tools and these tools are used through actually the tool that we use to activate, to intend, and that's the mind. And that's it's our thinking, and the where our thinking stands, or what it's placed on. What this is, because our tools are also our ideas. Our ideas are tools. And the way that we think, and the assumptions that we place our thinking on, this is um, the ground of our lives. It's in Pali, it's the ditthi and the sankappa. It's the view, the assumption, the preference, the worldview, the overall uh, opinions that we have, the overall uh, uh, paradigms of our lives. These are uh, the basis of our existence, of how we then use the tools of thinking. And these two are the core of and if they're used in ways that are in line with, we have these ideas. Well, this is an idea. These two things are ideas, or this whole business is an idea. But the suggestion in Buddhism is that there are assumptions that we can make, there are opinions that we can practice, there are basic underlying paradigms of our lives, or bedrock of our um, sense of what we are, or what things are, or how things work. There are those that are in line with the truth, and those that are not in line with the truth. And the idea of truth itself is an idea. And there's, the truth that we as Buddhists work with is the truth of the Dhamma, which is something that's revealed by wisdom, It's something that is one knows now and here. It's something that's outside of time. It's something that's attractive and encouraging investigation. It's something that leads to a sense of peace, and it's something that any wise being can realize for themselves. And this is, and in relating to this, can be noble, can be freeing, can be liberating. It can be in tune, or it cannot be in tune. Even that itself is an idea, is an assumption. And how do those assumptions, when we receive them as tools or as ideas, and how, in the way that they're presented, how does that affect here and now? Now, you know, and then what do we do with it? What further actions do we make mentally from that? And the suggestion is that there are actions that are again in accordance with that and will support that and will have an underlying because if you put energy into something, there's an effect. That's again, it's an idea, and that's the basis of the Buddha's teaching, and it gives this human creative thing a, a, an appreciation of the power that this form has, because we do stuff, we think stuff, we act on stuff, we act physically, and there's a way of cultivating. The suggestion is there's a way of, when we activate and cultivate our relationship to the physical, that is, and cultivation takes growing, it takes patience, it takes time. That is again something that is wise, and there's a cultivation of virtue or of blessings in the way that we relate that is wise. There's a cultivation of our emotions and our thoughts that is wise. There's a cultivation of our wisdom itself that we can grow, um, and these are areas where we can practice and find ways of of, uh, of giving space and nourishment. So that's the basis. So what and then we have the question of, well, what do we do with the attachments that we feel, that the pain that we feel through these attachments, and is there any way that this can be um, related to again? Because when we act. Is our assumption that if we do wholesome and good things, that there will be wholesome and good results? Is that the basis of our life? Because that will have an effect. If our basis of our life is that things don't matter, then that will have an effect. If our basis of our life is that all that matters is power or influence, then that will have an effect. If our basis of our life is that we wish to be noticed, we wish to be looked up to, then that will have an effect. Um, this is knowing these, that there is cause and effect. And then, well, how do we, in investigating that, uh, heart of um, what I recognize is that this is limited. There's a limitation in what this particular perspective can know, and knowing that this, in terms of the particular power of this being is limited, then not being not wasting the energy in trying to figure out, well, what more. I mean, partly I think this comes with age, that this is this is what I can do now. This is what I can work with now. I'll work with what I can do now. So if people ask me about, well, what should I do about the wider problems of the world or the problems that I see in the news or whatever, I recognize that my capacity is this moment and what I do in this moment with the people that I relate to now and how I relate to this sense of being separate now. This is where my freedom and capacity is. For the ideas that I have about the rest of the world or what's happening, I don't have the wisdom to really know how more I can affect or what more uh, power that I have um, to affect the decisions of people that I don't have any relationship to. But right now, this is the one that I can live with. Right now, I can know how this moment is for me and this sense of separation. This is the time and space that I'm in. The time and space that you find yourself in is, and whatever time and space you find yourself in, is yours. And it's just this much. And the knowing of this is something that you can do. The knowing of how you feel, your sense of separation feels right now, what your assumptions are right now, what your thoughts are right now, what your emotions are right now. And for each separate being, this is where our freedom lies. Um, if we can work as best we can with that, then how the world turns out will be how the world turns out. And that's something that is well, for me, it's not, I can't do more than I do. Um, and to find, I have a sense there is a sense of gratitude that there is this sensitivity, that there is life now, that there is the capacity to receive this moment, there is the capacity to respond to this moment, that this is life, and this is there is the knowing of this moment. This is something that this is where I can, in this moment here and now, is where I can accept and deal with this moment in this relationship with my ideas and assumptions. And the assumption that I have now is that if I can encourage a sense of inward turning for all the beings that are listening, or all the beings that are seeing, this sense of questioning, well, what is this? How is this moment being received? Not trying to tell you how you should do it, not trying to tell you what you should be thinking or what you should be feeling, but encouraging that refuge in that sense of knowing this is how it is. And that when we the fact of ignorance is the fact or the action of ignorance is not knowing what we don't know. And that and not knowing even that we don't know. And then when they're with ignorance, when we don't know that, then the capacity to make mistakes is that much greater when we don't know what we're doing, we don't know what's happening, we don't know what is. And the way to know is to trust that sense of knowing. This is what we can do, and that's gathering that energy. Now, when we're waiting for uh, the other day, I was waiting and not knowing about whether a flight would come or whether a flight would not come or how long it would take, and just staying with that. And it's okay to know that one doesn't know, and trust in that. And just what happens next? What happens next? What happens next? And in our lives, the assumption that in doing wholesome and good things, there will be a wholesome and good result, in having a sense of respect for goodness and a sense of wishing to listen to those that we feel uh, are less confused than us, or wishing to investigate our lives, or wishing to not act out of a sense of inadequacy or a sense of overwhelm, um, a sense of and acting out of a sense of trust and a sense of appreciation. This is what we can. This is the way that we can work. Um, I I feel this is some time that I've been giving these. Sometimes since I've been giving these Zoom talks, and I do appreciate this real recognition that we all live in our own time and space, our own opinions and views, and that this sense of separation and the sense of stress that comes with that sense of separation is just understood, because that's how it is. And yet the knowing of this is what we do, is where we meet. We meet in this sense of knowing this moment. And that's the meeting. And that knowing is not concerned with the particular. It just knows. The particular is the particular. Um, it's the best that we can. But the fact of knowing is not. It's just this. But there's the cultivation of there's the possibility to cultivate a relationship to things and to physical that is wholesome. It's a possibility to cultivate uh, a sense of bringing blessings to the moment. There's a possibility to cultivate wholesome and beautiful states of mind, and there's possibility to cultivate a wisdom to uh, understand that this is where things come from, this is how they are, this is the benefit we can get from them, this is the danger of them, and this is how we can relate to this so we get benefit and not danger. How we relate to tools, how we relate to ideas, how we relate to our assumptions, knowing where they come from, what they are, the benefit of what assumptions will bring benefit, what's the danger of assumptions, what particular dangers there might be, and how we relate to them so we get the benefit and don't get caught in the danger. And what we need to know what assumptions we're making in this moment, or what assumptions we're coming from in this moment. What does one assume? Because the assumptions are often what we don't know, because they're so underlying of our sense of being here. If there's and then how do we relate to those assumptions so we get benefit and don't get caught in danger? Now, we would wish ourselves well, because my assumption is that life seeks the best and optimal for itself. I feel that life, and I assume that life seeks to find a way to find an optimal position, and whatever the conditions are, it seeks the best for itself. I feel that humans really would wish to be happy, um, and the happiness that's really worthwhile is a happiness independent of condition, and the sense of wanting happiness is not. Well, if one feeds on that, then it comes from a sense, well, I'm not happy. So to come from a sense of, I that's what I aspire to, and it can be realized, but it's not, if it comes from a sense of, I'm not happy now, then I, will have to, I'm not happy now, I'm not happy now. And then I want to be happy. And then the energy that one's putting into this is the sense of, I'm not happy now. If there's a sense of, I'm not happy now, there will be a way to realize something. If I act in ways that are correct, there will be a possibility of happiness. Then that comes from a sense of possibility, a sense of confidence. And that assumption, I feel, is more helpful. And that assumption is part of what I feel is a wise assumption, a wise assumption that will lead to a sense of then acting in ways that are of renunciation, of just being blind to the senses, and acting ways of not harming, acting ways of cultivation. These are things that I think we can do. And breathe, and breathe. And notice a rhythm of a breath. That this breath has its own energy. This breath has its own uh, life. It's not, and life itself has its own possibility. There's a breath, an in-breath and an out-breath. And that is repetitious. It's not, it can be played with, but not controlled. It can be appreciated and released. It can be received and let go. And that's how life works. The knowing of this breath, the revealing of the power and the nature of a breath And the importance of it, because without breathing, without this rhythm, without this lack of control, there can be no possibility of action. And this is what humans do. They are the doers of this universe. They're the thinkers, the actor, the energy movers. And when they work according to the best or the optimal way, they actually, Ajahn Buddhadasa called them happiness creators. Now, confused about what sometimes causes happiness, what is true happiness. But this is what humans will try to do. They'll try to make things better. And they may be confused. They are usually confused about what better is. But that's the nature of human activity. It tries to do the best it can, and it can be very, very confused. And the people were worried sometimes, and my reflection on the number of humans now, that when I was born, there were probably less than 3 billion, maybe 2.5, 3 billion. Now there's probably 9. At the time of the Lord Buddha, there was probably between 1 and 200 million. And now all these beings are trying to be and trying to create a sense of happiness for themselves. And we're just going to have to see how it works out. And I don't know what will happen. And I don't think anybody can. But we can do the best we possibly can in this moment to know our hearts, this heart, is receiving this moment and responding to it, how life is. And the cultivation of a meditation practice gives ourselves and gives others a chance to know. So I offer this, and the question that I was particularly asked today was, how do I deal with attachment to somebody when I feel that attachment is somehow beneficial? And the attachment comes from a sense of separation. And the idea of another person that somehow one feels attachment to. It's an idea. It's an idea. Can you use that idea in a way that brings you less suffering? If the attachment brings you more suffering, then it's probably, then why hold on to something that hurts? No, if it hurts, then you'll let it go. But if you keep holding on to it and it still hurts, then that's just foolish. And maybe the way to detach yourself from it is to get the sense of I in perspective, the sense of me that is being attached in perspective. Because if the sense of me that is being attached is not taken too personally and too seriously, then the sense of others is not taken too personally and too seriously. There's all all will be separated from one. Everything. There's always going to be anything that comes together will be separated. And that's not a sad thing. It's just actually quite relieving. In the sense of it will go. It too. Um, the sense is even the sense of everything that one takes oneself to be will be separated from one. The simple things, you can recognize quite easily. Your hair, you cut it, your nails. Once they're cut, they're no longer you. The food that you ate yesterday, the water you drank this morning, the ideas you have, the memories you have, the memories that you've made up, the ideas about yourself, they all shift and change. They all are separated. The sense of successes that one's had, the sense of failures that one's had, they come and they go. And then the diseases, the mental afflictions, all of that comes and goes. The teeth. It's just, if one doesn't take all of that too personally, then the attachments to others are less important. The relationship with others is important. How one relates so that one brings, it's a blessing and not a curse. Something that brings benefit, allows for less suffering for oneself and others. That's a cultivation. And it requires wisdom, the cultivation particularly of wisdom in relationship to physical things, to emotions, to the basic virtues of life, to the ways that one relates to the whole business of being here. Can it bring blessings? Can it lead to less suffering in this moment for oneself and others? Or does it lead to more? These are the questions you can ask yourself, and that can hopefully, with luck, turn your attention inwards, a sense of knowing. So if there are more questions, please ask them. You write in the chat. For a few more minutes, I'll be around for that. If there are no questions, then that's okay. Can I please ask ask you to please reiterate the way to let go of attachments in brief so that it's easier to remember. How should one do that? How should one let go of attachments? Notice how the stickiness is, and then notice what's not attached. Notice space and silence. Notice the knowing, which is not attached. And the way that I was talking about was noticing the sense of who is attached. And if that's not believed, then the attachment is always already lessened. I am attached to this person or this idea of a person. What is it that feels that it's attached? If that's not believed, then the attachment is lessened. Turning the attention inward, the best I can suggest. Anything more? Any more questions or points? And if you'd like, if there aren't, then you're welcome to turn your sound and your vision on if you want to just chat. Aha. This is what I've written down. Notice what stickiness is. Notice what is not attached. Notice the knowing. Notice who is attached, who feels that it is attached. If that's not believed, then the attachment is lessened. Turn the attention inward. Okay, there you all are. Margarita and Kim. These ideas of people in their own time and space. Indifference is a danger. Sensitivity is helpful. Upekkha is sensitivity that is also still. It's not indifference. Upekkha acts with joy. Mudita acts with compassion, to lessen suffering. It acts with metta without dwelling in aversion or overwhelm. And couples and marriages and all of that, I have little experience with. I notice with the people that I live with that what helps is to notice what I appreciate about them. And that I feel is mudita, that sense of appreciation. And the sense of making structures so that there's less pain now and in the future. Making those structures and that space and that uh, so that there's less suffering now and in the future. And for the bhikkhus, we have the whole structure of the Vinaya, which is a way of structuring our lives so that there's less suffering now and in the future. For humans as a whole, for Buddhists, there's the 5 precepts. Then there's other reflections that one can do.